Yeah, hey, ladies and gentlemen, it is episode 86. Could you believe it? 86 of two. I'm saying it, two Dynamite dudes on Rampage. And I'm here with my degenerate brother, Marcus DeAngelo of adfreeshows.com. Holy cats. Marcus, is this 5 weeks in a row for you? This is unbelievable.
I think it is, Dominic. Yeah, pretty wild. Glad to be here as always. And I can't believe we've done this 80. What did you say? 86, 87?
86 episodes in total right now.
Unbelievable. Right. Steven Chambers, what's up, man? Yeah, it's crazy. Can't believe this.
I know. And hey, we got a good 86 episode happening here. Plenty to talk about. First, I do have to touch upon the particular hat you're wearing. There happens to be a little bit of what's going on there. Amari Cooper just traded for peanuts, basically, huh?
Yeah, well, it was a salary cap move, so I think that the Cowboys would have taken essentially anything, because they were getting ready to release him. So. Yeah. So, hey, they're saving money. Sounds like they might try to make a move on Bobby Wagner. So, we'll see what happens.
I'm hoping my Jets get Bobby Wagner. I think that would be the first new Jets jersey I buy is a Bobby Wagner if that happens.
I would guess that they've got the cap space. But
they got plenty of it.
Yeah, I was a little bit surprised that he went that low initially, but then the more I thought about it, I was like, it sort of makes sense.
Yeah, Steven says Javon Landry's seeking a trade, too, from the Browns. I thought they were going to release him, too, or something.
What's his name?
Javon Landry, right?
I don't think that's his first name.
What's the receiver from the Browns?
Yeah, I don't know.
Jarvis? Is it Jarvis?
Jarvis. That's it. Yeah. Well, yeah, I don't know. It's kind of a dumb move by Jarvis Landry, don't you think? Like, why not? Wait, like if you've got Amari Cooper on one side, that means that they're probably going to be doubling him, or the safety's going to move over toward his side of the field, which could, in theory, make you look like you're really good at football.
I think
Cowgirls do not suck. I mean, Cowboys.
I think Jarvis might be aware of Baker's inability to play football.
And Baker's not good at the football.
No, he's not.
But Dominic, this is not a football podcast.
No, this is not a football podcast. This is an AEW Dynamite show. And what a lineup we have tonight. Marcus, this is like, we got a lot to touch upon. And I figured the very first item we would touch upon is about brothers. Not us, but heck, arguably the greatest tag team of all time, the Hardy Boyz, have returned to wrestling. And they are reunited in AEW. Marcus, what do you think about this? How does this kind of shake up the landscape for wrestling right now?
Well, another quarter hour just got consumed. But no, I mean, it's a good thing. It's a very good thing. If you were going to go out and get a guy as AEW, aside from Cesaro, in my opinion, Jeff Hardy's the guy. He's 100% the right choice. You think of all the possibilities. Obviously, what we're building toward, and I've said this, what the thing that fans all think of all at once is the Young Bucks and the Hardy Boyz, and it's going to happen. We'll see it. But I think, Dom, that on the way we're going to get a lot of fun combinations, and I think that the Hardy Boyz are going to raise the tide for the tag team division in total. And by the way, Dominic, I don't think we're just going to get a Young Bucks match. I think that the Young Bucks, like all of us, were really big fans in and around 2000, 2001, when all this ladder match stuff was going on. So that's what I'm picturing, a giant blow off at the end of this being between the Hardys and the Young Bucks, which, by the way, I don't think has ever happened. I know they've wrestled before. I don't think that they've had like a TLC type match. And I'd be willing to bet that we're going to get one.
Yeah, I mean, I think that would have to be on the card at some point, right? I mean, and you look, the Young Bucks have been cruising as very, very good heels on a good heel run. And, Jeff making that return, that reaction he got was unbelievable.
Oh my gosh.
Not unbelievable from the standpoint as you can't believe Jeff would get that reaction, but just like, bam, that's the kind of pop you want to get from a live wrestling crowd. And I think that really speaks to Jeff's level of star power. And, Matt, his brother, talked about that on the Matt Hardy podcast, The Extreme Life. Check that out too on Podcast Heat, by the way. But he talked about that and how his brother is like this he knows, he's aware of Jeff's ability to be the star. And when you pack that punch of Matt Hardy and Jeff Hardy together, there is that next level thing where it's up to the level, like the Hardy Boys. You really look at it, the Hardy Boys are very much up to that level of near the Steve Austins and the Rocks if you put them together. It's like they pack that kind of big of a punch where that's a tag team that fans immediately react to and go for it. So I think it cannot be understated how valuable I think Jeff Hardy is to All Elite Wrestling right now, because, I mean, heck, you can have the Hardy Boys go on that big tag team run and win those titles and establish your tag team division further. But also there's legs in those guys being top single stars again, I think, too, at some point, if they really want to go that route.
I mean, if you do it right, obviously I don't see them working for this long, or maybe they do, but if you do it right, I mean, that's a 10-year run with both of them. And yeah, I mean, who said it? Jay just said it. Nostalgia sells even in AEW. Dom, if you think about the demographic that we're trying to grab here, it's again 18 to 49, right? That's the demographic that they're shooting for. Well, guess what? I fall in that demographic. So do you. So do a lot of people from our generation who were 12, 13, 14 years old when the Hardy Boys were having those crazy TLC matches. And now, I get excited at the prospect of seeing a TLC match with the Hardy Boys. I get excited at the prospect of having the Hardy Boys in AEW. So it's really cool. And I mean, you're right. You think about the tag team combinations, but then, you've got Jeff in singles competition. You've got a revitalized Matt in singles competition. It's fun. It's really fun. And, I'm happy that they're there. Think about the merchandising opportunities as well for AEW. By the way, they got the Hardy Boys music.
Yes. Yeah.
So he paid for the Hardy Boys music. Now, it's brand identity. So it's brand identity in the look, but then also the music, iconic music. And we're talking T-shirts, we're talking action figures, we're talking the Hardy Boys on a video game. We're talking that you could get modern day Hardy Boys and throwback Hardy Boys on a video game now with AEW. Right. Mm-hmm. So it's a huge opportunity.
Yeah, Mark, and I really want to hammer home the point. Jeff's fan base, they're like
rabid.
Yeah, that's the exact word I was looking for. It's a rabid fan base for him. And so, you get that groundswell following in that group. Because I kept saying this too. If they were when they returned to WWE, they should have put Jeff Hardy at some point in the world title position again, because he was back in 2009 and everything like that. He was right in the thick of their top babyface star. Him and John Cena were the top two babyfaces.
Dom and Ric Flair just said it. He said it it was on his latest podcast, but it was a best of podcast. So it was something that he said, I think a few years ago. He compared Jeff Hardy to Sting, Ricky Steamboat, with the way that he connects with the audience and gets over. And
his ability to sell too. He's a great seller.
He's got Ricky Morton. He's got Sting in him. He has all of it. And by the way, Sting, Darby Allin, Hardy Boys, that's fun. That's a fun little group, is it not?
Heck yeah, it is. We're gonna see colliding.
We're gonna see Matt Hardy versus Darby Allin. We're gonna see Matt Hardy probably in the Hardy Boys against Sting and Darby Allin. We might see them as a group for a while. We got a lot of fun opportunities. Nesha said Hardys must own their music. No, I think it was. No, I think it's public domain music now, right?
Public domain, or it wasn't a WWE licensed theme,
right? And
surprisingly, I thought it was. I thought it was a Jim Johnston classic. That's what I thought it was.
I know that I was reading about it, and I know that it's made appearances on some TV shows and in some movies and club scenes and stuff like that. But so I think that I assume that Jim Johnston wrote it, like he did everything, but apparently not. And WWE allowed the whatever it is, the license or whatever to expire on it. And next thing you know, it's out there. Rumor has it that Tony Khan purchased actually quite a few old WWE themes that were in the same vein. Because they were out there. So he's like, well, I'll purchase the rights to them. One of them that I heard about was Hardcore Hollies.
I was going to say that, Marcus, because you know what? You make a great point that the Hardy Boys' theme, I heard that on different shows, I remember, or commercials or promotions. And that was another theme I heard was Hardcore Hollies' theme. Not just on WWE. So I could very much imagine that happening.
And why not use it? I'm not saying bring in Hardcore Holly for a run. But I wouldn't hate it if they did. By the way, I love Hardcore Holly.
Yeah, heck, you could use.
And by the way, he's still in fantastic shape.
You could use that for any kind of like legacy WWE star that was in the hardcore division, basically. Like fucking Steve
Sure.
Blackman comes back, just pop that baby in.
I think it's just a good thing to have.
Yeah.
In general.
Yeah. No, man, absolutely.
And I don't think that Hardcore Holly's under a Legends agreement. So let's say that he wanted to put him on the video game. You just pay Bob Holly, and you've already got his music. You can use his likeness.
You can have him show up for one shot, like Nick Gage style,
Sure,
if you want it.
Sure.
You know, that's this. No, I mean, I think the acquisition of music is very important, and that's playing into like look at what they did at Revolution with Punk and his old theme that they used in ROH and everything like that. Really harkened back to everything, and it really played into CM Punk redefining himself a little bit again too in AEW. So, dude, I'm pumped. I think the Hardys, like seeing them back together like that, it scratches that nostalgia itch big time. Like, especially for what you're talking about, our demographic and our fan base. Dude, we're right in the thick of the Hardy Boys being that edgy, young, cool tag team that was like ass kicking and unique. So, I mean,
yeah. And, you know, it's really, as I've been saying, it's the blow off is the Young Bucks. Really, the way to go about it, too, is like to have the Hardys kind of have their number for a while. And then in the big blow off TLC match, you indoctrinate, you know, you kind of christen the Young Bucks as the new tag team of the future. I think most people already view them in that light. But having them get put over by the Hardy Boys in the Hardy Boys style match down the road, I mean, you got something there. Not to mention Dom Christian is still around.
I know. I was thinking about that too because it was after Jeff debuted on Dynamite. I think the next segment Christian was in. You know,
I mean,
like so
again, more possibilities. You stick Christian with a tag team partner. Well, let's get Edge.
Oh man,
boy, that would be something. That would be something.
Jeez, I know that would be pretty damn wild.
Benjamin A. Jones is saying they need the Dudley Boys now, Dom.
Well, unfortunately, I think Dudley is unable to. Devon is unable to compete. I think he might be Dunzo, like in the ring, basically.
Yes, I've also heard that. Also, I don't know what Bully is thinking, or if he's interested in continuing to be in the ring. Yeah, and that should just said Devon is retired.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, I don't know what's the little guy doing? What's his name? Brother Run.
Spike. Brother Run. You went with Brother Run over Spike. Oh my god. Dude, I love Spike Dudley though. I fucking love awesome. Spike Dudley.
Bump taking son of a bitch.
Nesha, to your point, Jeff did miss Matt, and Matt was talking about how ecstatic Jeff was, like to be back in the thick of, you know, a kind of pro wrestling environment in comparison to what WWE has presented as him like recently. So, yeah, that's definitely, and you could see that on the air too. He was jacked. He was jacked up.
Oh, I'm sure they were pumped up. I mean, how great would it be to have your brother show up on TV and now all of a sudden you're with him and you guys are going to be working together again? It's just like old times. It's fun.
Absolutely. Marcus, I'm going to kind of jump around here a little bit.
Let's jump around.
Jump to get down.
And that's right. Saying Spike. I prefer Brother Runt. Like Brother Runt. I don't know that I've ever seen him work his Brother Runt. I know that he got like flung into the crowd by, I want to say, Abyss or something in TNA.
Oh, wow. Well, you're really setting me up here because speaking of getting flung around, Keith Lee flinging QT Marshall and the factory around on Rampage last night. And the reason I would transitioned over to this one was because we were talking about Jeff Hardy's reaction. Keith Lee got a big time reaction too on Rampage. It was like that crowd was electric for him. And now he's going into a feud with Team Taz, Ricky Starks, and Powerhouse Hobbs. And I think this is a good start for him. Overall, we'll go from this route. How do you think the presentation has been of Keith Lee so far? I know it's kind of still early in the run here, obviously, but so far, what would you grade it?
I'd give it a solid B. I think like he catches my attention. I watch what he does every time he goes out, just because he's such a big dude, but he's so athletic. He's so good at moving around. Very light on his feet. Very Bam Bam Bigelow in his prime-esque. That's what he reminds me of. Maybe a little bit of Vader in there too. I really, really like how athletic he is for a man his size. And the only criticism I have is, what are we doing with him? Where are we going with him? You know, I would like to see clear-cut storyline. I'd like to see a clear-cut, like, he hates these people and he's coming after this guy. I mean, that's kind of what we're getting with QT Marshall, but let me tell you, that doesn't exactly turn the dials. Nothing against QT Marshall. I'm sure he's a wonderful person. Seems like a really great worker.
I mean, if you get to watch that Rampage match, he did an amazing job at, like, getting...
Every time I've seen him work, I'm like, he's a really good worker. But it's I'd like to see him in a program that kind of befitting somebody of his skill level.
Well, I think Team Taz is a good start because Ricky Starks is playing a great heel form, and then Powerhouse Hobbs too, just showing up, and he suplexed Ali at the end of that match. So it was really good setup for them. I think that it's going to be on the right track. I would like to see that get positioned in a pretty good spot here on Dynamite, which always speaks. We're going to touch, as always we do on the week, we're going to touch upon the roster size here again here in a little bit. But yes.
Sorry to interrupt. Steven agreeing with me. Yeah, it reminds me of Bam Bam Bigelow, Lee and Hobbs. I mean, that's a fun combination right there.
Yes.
Two big old hosses.
Oh yeah, that'll be a real good one. And
I'm excited to see that. Honestly, Brian Cage when he comes back, that's another big old hoss of a man.
Yeah.
Would love to see him programmed with him. So, yeah, fun stuff.
Mortis maybe though. You mean? Right?
It should be Mortis. At the very least, Mortis should be like his alter ego that he breaks out for
I would like
matches.
That. I would like that.
Mm-hmm.
Marcus, another pleasant surprise that we received at AEW Revolution was the man himself, William Regal. Popped up, got the big pop. United. Marcus, we talked about it the week before on our preview show. Moxley and Bryan Danielson were at odds, and I thought Bryan Danielson was going to be full-fledged heel moving forward here. Doesn't look that way anymore. We got like a unique dynamic of a tag team kick in here with Moxley and Danielson, and then you have William Regal being their unofficial mouthpiece, but still there as the guy talking there especially on Dynamite. So, how did you think what Regal did? Like, what did you feel about that whole big promo? Because there's a lot to take away from that, I thought.
Well, first of all, Nathan, thank you for the kind words. We love doing it on this podcast on WrestleZone. So,
yes.
So yeah, we're happy to be here. I love what they're doing with him. I think that it's a natural combination. Stick him with Bryan Danielson, and John Moxley. But no, he comes out. He's a good promo. It's very confident in front of the crowd, as always. And, if you guys haven't seen a lot of what he was doing in WCW, like 95, 96, 97, one of the best technicians in the world. It continued to be when he went to WWE. Even when he was like winning King of the Ring there and stuff like that, later years, King Regal, just like so technically sound, very much like Bryan Danielson. In a lot of respects. So yeah, it's a huge addition, not just as a personality on screen. Really, I think that one of the biggest benefits he's going to provide is knowledge backstage to some of the younger guys. When a guy like that comes around, you keep your mouth shut, ears open, because let me tell you, there is a lot. Even a guy like Bryan Danielson, I think there's a lot that he could learn from a guy like William Regal to continue to polish his game. So huge addition for AEW.
I mean, you look at it too. I mean, yeah, he is somebody that everybody should open their ears to, and it was kind of funny because William Regal went on social media after Dynamite and apologized to the locker room for taking up too much of the time, and stepping in. I thought it was a cool thing to do, but who was complaining about William Regal? Nobody, I would think.
No, and it's he's a gentleman, the gentleman
Yes.
villain. But yeah, no, I thought the same thing. Like, well, it's unnecessary, but it's part of him. It's part of the old wrestling, right? You walk in, you shake hands with everybody in the locker room, make eye contact. He's a pro. So huge addition, massive addition to AEW. Tons and tons of value in Regal. So I'm glad that AEW got them. I mean, the kind of talent, people, minds that they're bringing in, it's the tide's raising. In AEW.
It's setting it up. It's really setting it up because you kind of, there was always the pushback about hey, is AEW getting too focused on moves and getting getting the high flying spots over and not really focusing on storytelling. You get core people in there like a William Regal and stuff like that. And that's another like JR in his own regard. They're the checks to balances in a lot of way where it kind of keeps the world in balance. And I think to kind of venture too into the more of what Regal said, Regal talked about like kind of what you were saying, Marcus, like that Bryan Danielson was the wrestler that could have been, but he doesn't have Danielson doesn't have any of the Regal's vices that he had back earlier in the day, and so I thought that was a really unique and true to life setup for like what they're going to build with these guys,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Happy to see Regal there. Dom, Jay is saying Adam Cole getting a title shot on pay-per-view before Punk or Bryan doesn't feel right to him. What do you think?
I think that kind of goes back to what we were talking about last week too. Like Cole did not have a really good opportunity to get pushed to that level so quick. Like they shoved him up there after he was, lost in the elite mix for a little bit. So I'm okay with Punk not getting a shot, but Bryan did get a pay-per-view shot, just not on pay-per-view. But I just, I'm kind of with you in a little bit of that way because, I think Cole, his character and identity needed more build up to that level where more hype. It needed more hype behind it.
I think what Tony Khan is doing is wise. I think the impulse right out of the gate is like, well, he's a huge star. We got to put him in the main event. We should probably think about putting the title on. Got to do this. Got to do. Nope. Take your time. Build up to it. They're presenting value just by their simple presence. Literally just them appearing on the program provides value. They don't need the belt, at least not yet. Just keep.
I don't think Cole needs the belt necessarily, but I would have argued that when he returned at All Out or when he debuted at All Out, that reaction was huge, and he still got huge reaction. Don't get me wrong.
And by the way, let me just finish. I'm not saying that Cole does not fall into that same category. He does, but I think that when you've got three talents like Punk, Bryan Danielson, Cole there, it's like, okay, well, kind of want to save this person, kind of want to save this person. Cole is still awesome. Let's put him in the main event so we can still have some fun with these incredible combinations. But let's not spoil the whole party just yet.
Now, do you think continuing this feud here, because it appears that's the route they're going, is continuing the feud between Hangman and Cole? Is that a good move right now? I kind of think in a way it is. I just want to give it a little bit more time to breathe. You know what I mean? Because, he lost to Hangman at Revolution, and now they're doing the triple tag coming up here, which we can touch upon here in a second. But I think if they were to just do it and then move off from it, it would have less of value. You know what I mean? If they just jumped away from it real quickly too. So
yeah, I mean, I'm with Steven here. Fine with a rematch, Cole and Hangman, which is clearly what they're working toward. They're gonna do the 6-man tag, and Cole's team is gonna go over. That's just they're going to. So that's and then by the way, it's a good thing. I think that you need to kind of keep Cole's name hot and show that he can hang in there with the big dog, so to speak. But I think that it'll, he'll get a win and then he'll start talking shit, and he might even pin Hangman Page and then say like, hey, I beat you. I proved that I can beat you. I deserve another title shot. And then you get the blow-off match, which, by the way, I think Paige needs to go over in the blow-off so that you can put the strap on MJF next, which is really the direction they should be moving in.
Yeah. Would you kind of get Hangman some more title wins though, like against some like big names in between then?
Well, it depends, because as you and I talked about last week, Dom, it's whenever I tune into AEW Dynamite, I'm not thinking about Hangman Page being their champion. I'm thinking, what's Punk going to do tonight? Oh, I wonder if MJF's going to have a promo. When's Thunder Rosa coming out? I think about that kind of thing, and I'm not really focused on their World Heavyweight Champion, and that's not a good thing. I should be wondering when Hangman Page is coming out. I should be ready to get up out of my seat every time that music hits, and I'm not. And it's because they're not giving him these juicy, sink your teeth into these storylines like they're doing with CM Punk, or Bryan Danielson, or name some other people on the roster. They're not giving him the big, juicy, meaty storylines. So, like, if they continue trending in that direction, I would say, hey, we tried it. Let's get the belt off of him. If we can get him into a program that's really exciting, then yep, let's continue on. Because as I've been saying, he's very Barry Windham. He's got all the potential in the world. He's a naturally gifted athlete. Really want to see what he's capable of, but I'm not interested unless you make me interested.
Yeah, I think there's certainly some things you can do to help perpetuate that identity further of him, like we talked about. And yeah, I think getting him in a big program with a name star, perhaps, that's like really can, move the needle, so to speak, I think is important, and I think will be valuable to him, even if he eventually drops the title of MJF. But I would try to get something like that done before you do that. To speak on Hangman Page too, he had a little dynamic here with Dark Order. I can't say I was a huge fan of this segment, where he came in backstage and it just seems shoehorned in, did it not? Like, it was just like, hey, sorry, like, I kind of blew you guys off at the pay-per-view. I just wanted to apologize. It just kind of seemed, it depends on if they're going to turn, like, what, I don't know what the deal with Dark Order is right now. Like, you know what I mean? So,
they're against him now, and that's what's going to happen. They're going to turn on him in this tag match, and then Adam Cole's going to get the pinfall. But then the question is, all right, what do you do now with the Dark Order? Are they with the Bucks and those guys? Are they part of that crew now? Don't necessarily want to see that. But then if they're not, it's like, no, we just hate Hangman Page, and now we're heels.
Yeah, I'm curious how they're going to handle it, because it just seemed, I don't know, it's like, it just seemed like Hangman was kind of like, if he's friends with those guys, you wouldn't want to see him kind of act that way. But it's also like, I don't know, it just did not click for me, right? Did it?
Let me say, Dom, looking at the comments here, Nesha, Thunder Rosa needs to beat Britt. Very excited to talk about that.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm sorry, what was your question?
I said that just that segment in that interaction was just, it did not do it for me, really. It just seemed, seemed shoehorned.
It's very much in the same vein for me as the whole, like, Jesus, what's his name? Joey Janela angle, where he, like, turned on his tag team partner. It's like, okay, why do I haven't seen him in a while. Why do I give a shit what he's doing?
Oh, where he turned on Sonny Kiss?
Yes, exactly. So, like, to me, it felt the same, where it's like, oh yeah, those guys. Oh, they don't like him now? Okay,
yeah, it just seemed like from Sunday to Wednesday is when this whole situation happened, because right before that, they were all friends. And so now this kind of, like, it just seems like it's not, I don't know. I would like to see that if they were going to do something to that effect, have that gradually, that seed planted earlier on, and then, like, build to that a little bit. But
Steven and Jay nailing it here. If you're going to turn the Dark Order heel, I think they need to go full-blown heel. No more of that Johnny Hungy shit. No more Evil Uno tweeting about how he's co-workers with people. I think that they need to just be full-blown just heels, and paired with a scary version of Wyndham Rotunda. Right. So if that's the direction we're moving in, that's one way that you could take it, and it's a way that would be very interesting and something that would have a lot of people invested. Otherwise, what's the point?
No, it's true. I just it doesn't seem like it's a piece of the puzzle that fits right now into the AEW Dynamite product. I think, and if you want to cultivate that, you have to get some changes going. I think it's time for a change with Dark Order. And Marcus, wow, what a segue. Speaking of changes.
Oh, wow.
Speaking of changes here,
the winds of change,
and they have happened. The Inner Circle is no more. It's no more.
They gone.
We talked about this months and months and everything like that, and now we have the Jericho Appreciation Society with Chris Jericho, Jake Hager, and 2.0, and Daniel Garcia.
Wait, is that the name of them?
The Jericho Appreciation Society, yes.
Don't like that.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm a big fan of that. I did like the angle, though.
That feels a little bit like when Matt Cardona and Brian Myers were just like edgeheads, That's sort of similar vibes where it's like we all love Chris Jericho so much that we're going to be a faction named after him.
What if they all started dressing up as different eras of Jericho?
Well, that would be something else.
You get Lionheart, you get WWF debut Jericho, you get Scarf Jericho, the list Jericho. Oh man. So no, I liked the turn. It seemed I wanted a little bit more of a babyface run, I think, from Jericho. But him going up against Eddie Kingston and Santana and Ortiz, I think it's a good move though too, right? I think having them, and I think 2.0 is really going to benefit out of this pairing with Jericho and stuff. So I think we're going to get Jericho in his classic like heel form in a way, but it's also going to elevate 2.0, I think, a little bit too.
I think the idea is that, my impulse is like, I want to see Jericho as like a standalone babyface, like this dude who's almost like this babyface mercenary, like, yeah, he's old. Yeah, you've got the advantage over him because you're young and spry, but he's got this veteran savvy, I think that's a cool sink your teeth into it type storyline. But I think that they are pairing him with younger, talented, and not that he's not talented, but they're pairing him with these young, talented up and comers because they're bump takers.
Sure. Yeah.
So I think that's kind of the thought process behind it.
Yeah, I agree with that, and I think Eddie, you look at what Jericho did for somebody like Sammy Guevara, and you look what he did for like a tandem like Santana Ortiz, pairing him up with that. I think both Daniel Garcia and 2.0 can really, get a reputation going too behind it. I think it's a very big plus for them in particular. But I'm kind of with you though, Marcus. Like Jericho's looking fucking great, and I tell you what, I would love to see him as we've talked about before, like an old Lionheart. It would have been an awesome. Just get the yellow tights back almost, and that kind of, I think that'd be pretty darn badass. I still want that to happen at some point. I hope
with the hair tied on top of his
not
head.
necessarily the hair tie,
No,
but like the Mexican CMLL Jericho,
just Corazon de Leon.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Dom Steven Chambers may end up in a War Games match. I like the War Games or Blood and Guts or whatever they call it in AEW. I think it's cool, so I wouldn't hate it.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll see. Dom Steven Chambers making another good point down there. Garcia needs to be with Mox and Danielson. I wouldn't hate that one little bit. I think that would be cool.
Yeah, I agree. But I also think that putting him with Jericho in particular is going to help him from a charisma standpoint a little bit. Because like Jericho can really bring that out of person. Like he helped out with Sammy and get that over furthermore just by like the nicknames he gave, Spanish God and everything like that, really putting him over. I think Jericho could do the same for Daniel Garcia. So
I hope so. I think Daniel Garcia's got a lot of potential.
Yep. Nesha. I guess we'll go into that next. Nesha, you're giving us the segue now.
Nesha.
Scorpio Sky as the new TNT Champ. That's how the show closed out. I really like this, Marcus. I thought it was the Men of the Year needed something kicking here. And to give Scorpio Sky, somebody that's just been a consistent player since the beginning of AEW, giving him the belt, even if it might be for transition to Wardlow, I think is extremely a good move right here.
Yeah, I completely agree. I love the idea of him getting a little recognition. He's a super unbelievably talented guy, and again, we don't see enough of him. It's his storyline so far has been like he's with Ethan Page, and they hang out with MMA people. And when he snaps, the lights go out. That's a cool thing. Yeah, it's cool, but then it's just like, okay, I'll see you in 2 weeks. Now that you snapped, no, I'm glad now he's in a featured spot as with the TNT champion. So, he's just one of those guys. Just got this incredible skill set, and it's like, okay, well, let's see it more. So now I think we're getting the opportunity.
And you know what? I would very much prefer that he keeps the title next week. I would like to see like MJF screw Wardlow out of this championship match and get a few going between those two. But really kind of get Scorpio Sky on this run of, hey, he's like this undefeated TNT champion right now, where he's got this like over a year streak where he hasn't lost a match, and now he's got the TNT title with him, and he keeps like outsmarting or outwitting these baby faces by being a heel. You know, whether it's through help with Dan Lambert or Ethan Page or whoever, and like you give him this run to kind of go on. I'm kind of for a heel TNT champion at this moment in time, I think.
Sure. Yeah, no, I don't hate the idea of it. And yeah, I mean, Scorpio Sky is just one of those guys who, I don't want to be 10 years down the road and be like, man, I wonder what Scorpio Sky could have done if they gave him more opportunity. So let's give him the opportunity now. Give him a chance to go out there and succeed. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But like, let's try it. He's shown that he's very talented. So I want to see what he's got.
Nesha says Sammy shouldn't have lost the belt too soon.
I can get behind that.
I can, in a way, I understand, but also I'm going to make the case that Sammy is kind of like the two-time champion too at this point. So he's a two-time title holder. I think that kind of makes up a little bit of the balance of him not having a lengthy streak, or a title reign. And I really think this was the perfect moment to pull the trigger on somebody like Scorpio Sky and put the belt on him because, we talk about, again, bloated roster to try to get somebody over that in a faction like Men of the Year that really need a highlight on him. I think this was a great move to do. So
Dom Steven Chambers, good point down here. Sammy taking too many risks. Revolution, that nasty bump on Dynamite, he needs to calm down. Yeah, I think a lot of the talent nowadays, it's that mentality where it's like, well, I want the crowd to pop, so I'm going to go out there and do this crazy spot every single time I go out. And I don't think it's necessary. And I think that if you're a good enough worker, which by the way he is, and so many of these other talents that do that are, you don't have to do that shit.
No.
Sell. You have to sell. You have to
look at Jeff Hardy. Jeff Hardy right there. He's the perfect litmus example of all that.
Right.
You have it right there.
Sell. Work on your comeback. Really, that's kind of a simple formula. It's obviously your dance partner. It plays a big role, but there's enough talented people in there that you don't have to fling yourself off a fucking 2-story building every time you want to get a pop. Just go out there and work and sell. I don't want to see Sammy Guevara. He's a young man. I don't want to see him 10 years down the road talking retirement because he fucked up his back or his neck. Right.
It just seemed it's obviously way too early. Like 10 years from now, it's going to be way, way too early to retire. And I feel, it's just you pick and choose your moments. Sammy's at this level where he gets a huge reaction and people like him. So that's your high spot there. Is that those reactions? So when you want to do a high spot, just pull it out once in a while, once every few months, something like that.
That's what Jeff Hardy did. And he got over.
And look at him now. He's probably in a lot of pain, but he still looks great, and he's still able to pull out that kind of stuff if he really wants to from time to time. Yeah, you don't need it. Nestor, you're right. You don't need it every time. It's people like Sammy for who he is. And he's identified himself as like a strong wrestling personality, and that's what you can ride on a lot of the times. That's what
look at Mick Foley. He was at the pinnacle of his career. He was as hot as he had ever been. He came out with the book, and it's within a year he was retired. He had to stop. You don't want that. You don't want to be at your maximum money making potential and then say, "Well, I have to stop. I'm hurt." Nope. Make sure you make all the money that you fucking can in that business, and take care of yourself because that's scary.
And look, Austin hurt his neck, in '97, right before he really went, to the 316 like level of Attitude Era Austin, and like he only wrestled a few more years, but even after that, he wrestled smart. He was a smart, like he wrestled to his body's limitations, and
that's when he transitioned from like the technical guy to the brawling heel babyface anti-hero.
Yes, absolutely. Hey, Steven, we're going to talk about that actually.
I will say, here I am talking like, hey, don't risk anything too much, and then I'm all excited because Sting is flinging himself off of shit.
Man, how about that, dude? That's fucking like when Sting pulled off some of this stuff earlier on, like what Double or Nothing like a year ago, diving, off the stage and doing some crazy stuff where he gets powerbombed through a table and pops right back up. We're like, oh, this was something else.
Yep.
Splashing right onto Andrade through 3 tables.
I love what Sting. I love this portion of his career, you know, and
Yes.
it's kind of like saying, "Yep, I'm older, but I can still work," and he is.
He's still working, man.
It's incredible. It's really incredible.
How would you feel, Marcus? This seems wild. But we talked about.
I know what you're gonna say right now.
What am I gonna say?
You're gonna say, "How would I feel about Sting being the champion?"
Pretty close, Marcus. This is where I'm going. How would you feel about Hangman Page feuding with Sting?
Yes. Yep. I want to see it. Thing is, you know, I think that you would have to make adjustments as Hangman Page. You know, like that moonsault that he breaks out every match off the top rope to the outside. Probably not. But you know, certainly you can get all your other shit in. I think that it could be really, really awesome and fun. But again, let's cut some high spots and focus on working.
Yes.
So yeah, to answer your question, I took the long way around. Yes, I would like to see it, and I wouldn't hate Sting as the champion, even on a short run.
I wouldn't either. I think that, again, like, it goes back to the very beginning of AEW where they put the title on Jericho. That's your first ever champion. It's Chris Jericho. If you have a name like Sting in your title history as a world champion, I think that's pretty fucking cool, right?
Yep. Steven making a good point. What about the TNT title instead of the world title? Sure.
Not against that. I think world title would be the way to go, though. Honestly, if you're gonna do it,
if you do it, I would like to see Sting maybe have it for a month and then drop it to MJF.
That's cool too, Marcus.
Yep.
That's cool too. I like it.
And I wouldn't hate MJF like really going all out on him and injuring him, quote unquote, having Sting maybe leave for a little bit, take probably a well-needed
6
break.
months, 8 months, something like that.
Yep.
Marcus, I'm all for that. I'm all for a Sting world title run, guys.
Yep.
63 or not, I don't give a shit.
I think it could be fun.
And hell yeah, it'd be fun. It'd be a fucking blast.
Jay's asking, do we play 2K22? He likes it. I'll tell you what, with the NWO thing, and Dominic probably knows this about me. I was like, I want it. I want Eric Bischoff. I really want to do it.
You can use Eric. You can fight as Eric Bischoff.
I know. And I saw it and I was like, ooh, I want it. But I just don't have time to be fucking around with video games. Don't have time.
Marcus knows me. I was a huge video game guy, and I still kind of am. It's just like, I don't have the time to do it.
And they kind of burnt their bridges with video games, you know, like 2K14 is probably the last really, really great one that they made. And then since then, it's just like, they're like sort of phoning it in.
Yeah. And now it's like, and I think they changed up the grappling system and stuff like that. So the gameplay is a lot more funner and easier to kind of get along with. And I think that's what's really appealing to it. But there's also the rumor or reports that they might be moving on from 2K and going like looking for another buyer too. So how long are we going to see that type of game in specific? So,
dude, if I was Tony Khan, I would just be like, hey, here comes the pain. Let's just duplicate it. Let's just do exactly that with an AEW roster. An
updated Here Comes the Pain like kind of working system. But then you have I'm legit on this. You legit have revenge mode where you can go back and play like the old revenge style game, but AEW roster, and it's. I think that would be so fucking cool.
You'd sell 1 million copies.
Like you're not only you are attracting the new fan base with your newer game, but you have this version that you can play that doesn't take up a lot of space.
Well, and look, you know, you're worried about kids it not being sophisticated enough for like kids. The kids right now are like fucking around with fidget spinners and like those popper things.
Well, Marcus, you're
so
a few years
I know fidget spinners are gone, but now it's like the popper thing where you like pop the bubbles back and forth on that shit. Mm-hmm. So like kids are entranced by that. I'm 100% certain that kids would have a lot of fun if you had a revenge style video game.
Oh my god, you look at what the kids play on their phones and stuff too. It's just like simple, like cheesy ass games that like are addicting. Wordle, people are playing Wordle like all the time. I'm pretty good at Wordle, by the way.
Jeez, I didn't know Mr. T was part of the DLC. That's pretty sweet.
Mr. T, RVD,
RVD.
It's such a weird set of packages that you can download. It's such a weird like group of people, and like so many of these talents too are no longer with the company. They're in AEW or the free agents. It's crazy. Like, you know, Vince really fucking shook up the roster.
Who else is on there that's in AEW?
Let's see. Killer Cross. Well, I'm sorry, he's not in, but Killer Cross is in the game. Keith Lee's in the game. Adam Cole, I believe, is in the game. I think there's plenty more other ones too, Marcus.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah, so I mean, they're still in there. So, oh yeah, Logan Paul is a fucking downloadable character.
Oh, wow.
What the fuck? Wild. Machine Gun Kelly is in there. You give me Bob Uecker. Put Bob Uecker and Burt Reynolds in there for me.
Said Pete Rose.
How about it? How about it?
In the gobbledygooker outfit.
Oh man, fucking Mean Gene. Get Mean Gene in
there. As a worker.
As a worker.
That would be something.
I want Jesse the Body Ventura.
That would be okay too.
Yes. Marcus, speaking of some legendary wrestlers, you have some ties to the Ric Flair podcast. He talked about on a recent episode of the Woo Nation Uncensored about Cesaro having interest in managing Cesaro. Now, Ric Flair wasn't necessarily thinking about this and pitched it out, but Mark Madden presented it to him. He's like, I'd love that. And he talked about like how we almost need to see a nasty version of Cesaro if he would come into AEW, because we haven't seen a real nasty version of him. We've seen a heel version, but like the nasty, vindictive asshole heel that attacks you. And like he was, and his idea was like somebody like Tony Khan comes out and Flair's the one that hits him from behind, but then Cesaro just takes out his aggression on this person, whether it's Khan, Shivani, whoever. And like, that's how you bring him into that's how you introduce him. And I was like, dude, that is a way that you really get a debut over like somebody like that. Is just immediately going after somebody. If you pack that punch of like a Cesaro and Ric Flair showing up together, it'd be fucking wild, man.
Yeah, and I mean Cesaro's just got that old school feel. So like, you know, pairing him with somebody like Flair, especially because like, yeah, Cesaro may not be perceived as like a really strong talker, which by the way, I don't know that I necessarily agree with.
No, I don't agree with that either. I think he is a great talker.
I actually saw a promo of him with Ric Flair during the Miz TV segment where he was like talking shit to Ric Flair and he was nailing it. He was doing a great job.
Yeah.
But in any case, the idea of pairing Cesaro with Flair, I think on the surface, it really appeals to me. And I think it'd be a lot of fun, but there's also a piece of me that's like, he would, if he's with Flair, he immediately becomes like that suit wearing, you know, like very debonair type character. Where Dominic, and you know this, I want to see him as more of like a Bruno Sammartino type character.
I think you can do that though. Flair's still the party guy. Flair is still the party, drinking, women stealing kiss, you know, all that stuff. But not Jericho. Cesaro can be the more straight laced. Hey, I'm the champion, and I'm gonna fucking defend this belt and, you know, take it around the world, kind of basically. Luthez, Bruno Sammartino kind of vibe still going. I think you can still have that dynamic come across. But honestly, Marcus, you know, they have set a little kind of something up with this in a way, because our boys, FTR, fired Tully Blanchard on AEW Dynamite. And so...
What does it mean, Dom?
What does it mean for Tully? Who's he going to manage? Could it be a Cesaro? And does this mean we're going to get a babyface run of FTR?
Maybe. I don't know. I'm trying to kind of put the pieces together in my head, and I'm like, why? It was kind of working really well, wasn't it? With Tully?
Yeah, but like the angle was that Dax and was talking about how much their family meant to them, and like they kind of leveled out with Tully and said like, hey, you aren't our family guy. Like you haven't, all you've been about is the titles and stuff. And we're doing this to earn for our families and stuff like that. And, you know, we want the titles, but that's all you've been about. You haven't been about us. He's like, and that's when they fired him. So, I mean, it's kind of setting up for like maybe a babyface version of these two.
Dom, I'm guessing you didn't see this, but FTR is scheduled for an indie show, and guess who their manager is going to be for it?
JJ?
Dennis Condrey.
Really?
Which I think is fucking cool. But I wouldn't hate seeing them go babyface and join Arn's team. It sort of makes sense, right?
Yeah. Wow.
That kind of makes a lot of sense.
That makes a lot of sense. All right. Sure does. Yeah. If they join Arn, that makes, I mean, like Arn's got some stuff cooking. What if he kind of got a new Horseman brand here cooking in a way?
Dom, New Horseman, Brock, FTR, and Cesaro. That would be something.
Holy shit, that would be pretty damn awesome.
That would be something. Dom, yes. Stephen Chambers asking a question that I have been wondering for a while now. Will Tessa Blanchard be all elite? Tully managing her. On paper, love it. Love the idea. She's so talented, and pairing her with her father is really cool. What an addition she would be to the women's division. But as you and I have discussed here a couple times, those, and I'm not saying it's true, I'm not saying it's not true, because I don't know what the situation is, but the rumors surrounding her and some of the things that she allegedly said and did to other female talent, if any of it's true, I don't want to see her in the business. So I don't know what, Dom, what's your take?
Yeah, I'm just kind of in the same boat with you. I think Tessa, these rumors or these reports of her kind of it was with La Rosa Negra from Mission Pro, I think is where this supposed incident happened.
Very talented.
Very talented, really, really damn good. And I'm surprised she isn't in like one of the top promotions right now too, because she's got a style about her too. But all that being said, yeah, I mean, if there's some serious smoke to that fire, you just, it's a shame because she's a talent and she's got a legacy name and everything like that and a great look about her. But I mean, you can't have that in your
can't tolerate company. Can't show any tolerance for that behavior. So yeah, if it's true, doesn't belong in the business.
Yeah. Marcus, I want to get your thoughts too. I'm looking up something here because somebody said, did the Hardys capture the ROH World Tag Belts outside the ring, St. Louis on Facebook? It says in the Mix Radio. So I'm trying to do some research here on that. But in the meantime, I want to get your thoughts on
filibuster. What do you got?
Oh, well, this is a filibuster I will also very much want to touch upon is Thunder Rosa next week in San Antonio, her home base for Mission Pro Wrestling.
Friend of the show, Dom.
Friend of the show,
Thunder Rosa.
Getting her title shot in a cage match against Britt Baker on basically like the anniversary of the St. Patrick's Day bash that they had last year, where she had her win at the Lights Out match. Marcus, this is just serendipitous to the point where it's like, hey, I had the expectation, the prediction that she was going to win at Revolution, get her title finally. I think this makes a way more sense to have her get it here in San Antonio.
If she does not win the title at this match, I'm going to stop watching for a while.
How are we going to do the show?
I'll go on hiatus, Dom. No, she needs to win. She needs to go over. And like you said, it's like I was very disappointed when after Revolution, where I was like, fuck, they should have put the title on her. She's so marketable. She's such a great worker. She's this, she's that. She's everything that you want in a pro wrestler. But then, as you said, it's like the serendipity here on this show. A year later, the setting, a cage match. I'm like, this is okay. Now it makes sense. Now it makes sense that she lost a Revolution. Now we need to see her get the win and become the champion and kind of become a flag bearer for AEW. Dominic, billboards, magazines, more action figures, T-shirts. Thunder Rosa is probably the most marketable human being in AEW, maybe aside from CM Punk, the most marketable. So yeah, it's time to make the move on friend of the show, Thunder Rosa. Time for her to carry the belt, and Dom, she needs to carry it for a long damn time.
Margaret, I'm with you 100%, brother. I think to go again to the point of the reaction Keith Lee got at AEW Rampage. Thunder Rosa ran out after the match between Mercedes Martinez and Jamie Hayter with a steel chair and fucking got another huge reaction. Just like that crowd is bam, all for Thunder Rosa. And it just tells you what her value is. Like it's big time. And so for her to get positioned in this light in a steel cage, something you don't necessarily see a whole lot in AEW is the steel cage. So they pulled it out a few times, but this is like, I mean, when you don't count Blood and Guts, the only other cage match that kind of stands out, and I'm sure I'm missing one here, but is Cody versus Wardlow was the other one. Yep. Is there another one I'm missing out on that you can think of?
Not that I
So
can
like
think of.
it's something that they've had in their holster. That's a classic, obviously a classic kind of style of wrestling match. To put these two in a match like this on your main event in San Antonio on a particular anniversary of
That's
it.
why. That's also a big reason why I think she's going over. It's
Yes.
like, you know, it's Texas. It's the perfect setting for Thunder Rosa to get
Yes.
the big win.
The stars have aligned here, and we have a star in Thunder Rosa.
I'm pumped up. I'm pumped up
too. Pumped up too.
So yeah, hopefully she goes over, Dom. And we start the badly needed Rosa revolution here. Because yeah, it's man, I'm excited about Thunder Rosa.
Yeah. Let's see here. I'm trying to find some comments. Oh yes. All anybody wants to play is a high HD, high quality graphics revenge. Yep.
That's it. Doesn't have to be anything crazy.
Nope.
I'll buy 3 copies of it.
3 copies.
No,
Champ,
really. Want it.
Champ and friend of the show, correct.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Thunder Rosa. If you haven't heard our episode where we talked to her, go back and listen to it. I might say that every single episode.
Why not? You know? Steven, yeah, I think if I had to place my wager, I'm saying Scorpio Sky retains and MJF screws Wardlow over. What do you think, Mark? What do you think that's going? Do you think they're just going to put the belt right on Wardlow there?
I don't think they should. And yeah, I think that MJF comes out and screws him, or Sean Spears, somebody like that is going to come out and screw him over.
Both.
But yeah, it's not right to do that to Scorpio Sky, in my opinion.
I agree. All right, this is a good segue here. Man, I'm on a segue run here, Marcus. You know, yeah, and with Wardlow's babyface promo he cut. Direct, I think touched a tangible point about like him giving a reason why he was working for MJF, you know, and everything like that. You know, he grew up poor and he wanted to make money for his family, blah blah blah. And I thought it was a good, and heck, just having Tony Schiavone in the ring with him, I think just adds to it too. And so I think really good start of a babyface promo for Wardlow, and the crowd was buying into it. So
yeah,
there's some electricity there with that.
Yeah. Again, marketable. You know, somebody with that look, that size, physical ability. Yeah, Wardlow he's got it, man. So I wasn't, you know, initially excited about the idea of him being a babyface. But then, as you said, he delivered that really good promo. Again, having Tony Schiavone by his side, I think helped out a ton. And I was like, you know what, I'm buying it. At first, I wasn't buying it because I was like, no, he's this giant heel. Like he looks like a heel. He behaves like a heel. Easy to dislike because he's like this big guy. He's a good looking dude. Like he's like vicious, violent, and I'm like, he's easy to hate. He needs to be a heel. But now I'm like, yeah, I think it could work.
You know, the way his delivery was, like, I thought it was very matter of fact. You know, how he came across, and I'm trying to think of like a classic wrestler that kind of talked like that in a way that I thought.
I can't get away from thinking of him as Nikita Koloff, where he started as like this vicious heel, this easy to hate, just savage of a human, and then he turned babyface, joined forces with Dusty, the superpowers.
Yeah, no, that's a good. I think that's a good comp. I think who I'm kind of thinking of right now is Bryan Adams. The way Bryan Adams delivered a promo in a lot of ways, I think Wardlow has a little bit of that, and
a little summer of '69.
Yeah, that's right. Got my first real 6 string. I think, but I think there's like a lot more a connection with the crowd he has kicking too at the moment. So, I'm liking Wardlow in the babyface front. But to what Stephen Chambers was saying, I want to say, yeah, I think let Scorpio have this bit of a run. You don't need to put a title on Wardlow at this moment in time. I think there's plenty of time for that.
No, nope, I agree.
Yep. Okay, Marcus, a debut we have not talked about. That's a very notable one.
Let's talk about it.
Swerve Strickland, baby.
Swerve.
Looking damn good against Tony Nese. What a unique style this guy presents in the ring. And like fucking charisma out the wazoo too, man. Like his little promo that he had on Dynamite too with Tony Nese was good. Like just his reactions to like how like Tony was saying stuff and he's like, oh, his faces and stuff like that. It's just really on point with everything, You know,
he comes off like he's great and he knows it, which I think
Yes.
is really fun. And by the way, I think it would make him a good match with Ric Flair, who would be a natural babyface if he came in.
Wow, that's a great point too, man.
I think Swerve and Ric Flair would be a fucking blast,
That's pretty fucking cool, actually, Marcus.
right?
Yeah, I like that.
So I mean, zero chance that Nese wins that match. Swerve is brand new, comes in with charisma, just coming right out of his butt. So yeah, zero chance that Nese goes over in that situation. And yeah, it's Swerve again. He's one of those guys that you could really put a lot behind, and I'd put my best foot forward with him by pairing him with fucking Ric Flair.
I think that's a good call. Yeah,
Buy Ric Flair drip for his entrance music.
I mean, you got to do
probably
the
not
Space
that.
Odyssey. You got to do the Space Odyssey.
No, see, even the idea of Ric Flair drip or Space Odyssey, it makes me cringe because I don't want him to. Act
No,
like
I'm saying for Flair. I'm not saying.
Oh yeah.
Swerve's got his own music, man. His own
Yeah.
track is. I think he raps his own track.
An original. Let me say that if he were to come in, Ric Flair, that is pronouns, pal. If Ric Flair were to come in and pair with Swerve, I don't want Swerve being Ric Flair. I want Swerve to be Swerve with Ric Flair.
I want
because that's what they do. That's what they do with like the Miz.
Swerve. I want classic Flair, connecting, like playing off of Swerve of who he is.
I want vignettes of those two coming out of a fucking Learjet together.
Oh my god!
I want them pulling up in a limo.
Dude, you're nailing it. You're nailing it here for me.
Right? I want a vignette of them like shopping for Rolexes. So it would be a blast.
Man, Marcus, you are fucking on point tonight. You're on Steven Chambers level being on point here, man. This is some good shit. I'm loving it.
Yep. So I'm pumped up. I like Swerve. Good addition. But again, Dominic, where are we putting all these people?
That's the issue. Okay. Well, geez, another segue. Geez, we are fucking on fire.
Pull it out. Pull out the segue.
You might have to riff on here a little bit because I got to pull up the article itself. But I think Eric Bischoff made some very salient points about Tony Khan buying ROH this week on 83 Weeks. Talk a little bit about where you're thinking, like Tony did after on the AEW Revolution post presser. He did touch a little bit about it. He's booking ROH. He's booking it, and he said there's a reason for that, and that he knows like the background of a lot of the wrestlers and things like that, and to present them in a certain way. And he made comparisons to like what people prefer, whether it's the black and gold NXT. That was really good with Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens and all those feuds and takeovers and what have you, in comparison to the 2.0, and what's Vince McMahon's ultimate vision for what he wants for NXT is the new version. But a lot of fans prefer the old version. So talk about that a little bit while I pull this article up.
Yeah, Eric Bischoff always makes good points. Essentially, whatever he's saying, if you can separate your emotion from it, where it's like, hey, he's being mean to AEW, which by the way, I'm a huge AEW fan. But if you can, which is why we do this podcast, but if you can separate yourself from it a little bit and just listen to what he has to say, Eric Bischoff consistently always makes good points. Because he's smart. He's a really smart guy. And one of the best points that he made was when he was talking about how in the short term, the best use of ROH as an asset is to use it as backstory. He referenced how the Eddie Kingston CM Punk backstory, where he was like, I had no idea about their history. It was completely spelled out on TV what their history was, and then all of a sudden I was invested because, and this is a direct quote from Eric Bischoff on the podcast, every good story has a great backstory, and he's 100% correct. That Eddie Kingston CM Punk thing, all of a sudden you're leaning in like, wait a minute, these two, they've been having issues for a while. There's a reason that they don't like each other. Oh, this isn't just like you're here, I'm here, we hate each other, let's wrestle. There was layers to it. And that's what he said is going to be the best use for ROH, and I agree 1,000,000%. Is that you use ROH in the short term, you use it for storyline fodder. You own the library now, so you can go back and show like here's a match that these two had years ago, and it's still an issue. There's still every time they see each other, they still like glare at each other. They've been having issues for a while. And yeah, so that was essentially the point that Eric was making, at least near the end of that conversation, and couldn't agree more.
And you know, Marcus, to what you're just saying too about Eddie and Punk, like even on social media, somebody made note that Eddie, when he talked about Punk losing to Punk, how much venom he had in that moment, and Eddie was like, "Oh, you picked up on that." Like he quote tweeted the guy and was like, "Yeah, you picked up on that."
Yeah.
And so like that's this fire still burning, baby. And so I have the write up here. Now I will say it is on WrestleZone.com, but I got the transcription from Inside the Ropes. But this is what Eric Bischoff had to say in regards to it being a good move overall for Tony Khan, being purchasing ROH. I think it was a good deal. If Tony's goal is to ultimately to build, independent of Turner, is to build his own streaming platform, absolutely the acquisition of Ring of Honor makes sense. It's not going to only make financial sense in the short term. It's just not. How many people around in the United States television video audience, how many of them even know what Ring of Honor is? And I think that's kind of what we were saying.
That's what we said last week. Yeah.
A couple weeks ago here. Short term, it's not going to be profitable, but 3 years from now, 5 years from now, 7, 10 years out, because streaming platforms are popping up every day. That's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And guess what? Content becomes more and more valuable over time. Content that probably wasn't worth anything 5 years ago, conceivably is not worth quite a bit of money because of the market has grown and the ability to feed it with content has not. My opinion, short term, that library is going to mean absolutely nothing. And in a lot of cases, it looks like quality is bad. You couldn't do anything with it anyways. It looks like it was built on a phone in a high school gym, but there's still some great content there. And so, yeah, Mark, I mean, from like, again, I think it plays into what we were kind of talking about like last week where, hey, you have this library that does have history to it. People aren't familiar with it. But if you make them familiar with your AEW product and know what your product is, that makes your history, your library, and ROH, the brand itself, much more tangible too.
Look, you know, you don't want to start a streaming service with this giant library. It is a giant library. There's a lot of film. There's a lot of mega stars on that film. But you don't want to just start it tomorrow and just say like, hey, the ROH library is available, because most people are going to say, what's ROH? And not really give a fuck.
Yeah.
So with that being the case, to Eric's point, you build it on TV. You make it important on a program that's getting, you know, consistently like near 1 million eyeballs every week. So you make it something on TV, and then all of a sudden you start to say maybe 2 or 3 years, and you say like, hey, guess what? You can get all this old AEW content from the beginning, all of our pay-per-views on the streaming service. And by the way, we've got some archive content back there, and people will say, "Oh yeah, that's what they were talking about in the Kenny Omega feud, or the in the Bryan Danielson feud." And I think it could bait people in, and again turn the brand into something bigger.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's fun. And he's right. It's not going to pay off in the short term, but long term, 100% it'll pay off.
And you kind of think about it. I was like doing some title history looking and stuff like that, or did this day in history kind of searching. ROH has been around for over 20 years now.
Dom, I mean, Seth Rollins, Kevin Owens, the list goes on and on and on of the talent that has appeared there, been title holders there, had huge matches there. So yeah, it's to me, it would be silly not to take the path that Eric Bischoff has laid out.
100%, man, 100%. As far as everything else goes, did we cover it all? I think we did, Marcus. Man, yeah, I think we got everything. Is there anything else you want to touch upon before we wrap this week up?
Nope. Excited to see friend of the show, Thunder Rosa, take home the gold, Dom.
Me too.
Nesha said earlier, Marcus loves Thunder Rosa. I do. She's so damn good.
She's so damn good.
She is. She's awesome. My favorite wrestler. I
almost feel like we need to get together and watch this together.
Boy, that sounds nice, but no, I don't want to see you. It's bad enough I have to do this with you once a week.
Share a moment together, a historic moment in wrestling. Our friend of the show, Thunder Rosa, winning the title.
Tom, it's bad enough that I have to see you in Dallas, which, by the way, folks, let's get into the old plug skis.
Whoa, hey now.
So
yeah, breaking news.
Yeah, the DeAngelo boys are going to Dallas. let me tell you, it's going to be something else. So as you all know, I work for adfreeshows.com, and we're doing Super Show live in Dallas at Gillies Bar and Grill, Gillies Event Center down there in Dallas. Very
Marcus,
famous
what
bar.
What movie was there?
That would be Urban Cowboy, Dominic.
Correct. Yes.
So we are going to be in Dallas, and not only for Gillies, but also for WrestleCon. But let's talk about Gillies for a minute, Dominic. So not only is Jeff Jarrett and Eric Bischoff performing live on stage, a live podcast, anything goes, ask whatever you want. Not only are they doing a beforehand a meet and greet. There's a happy hour where you can have drinks with them, hang out with them, ask them questions, get autographs, get pictures, so all of the above. You get exclusive swag, blah, blah, blah. Not only do you get all that stuff, Dominic, but Jeff Hardy's going to be there.
Third man.
William Regal's going to be there.
Fourth man.
And there are other surprises. Dominic, literally everybody is in Dallas. Name a wrestler, name a wrestling personality. They're probably going to be in Dallas. Probably not AEW people, but I don't know. Probably some will.
Some might be.
Yeah, actually, I know some will. They're going to WrestleCon. So,
and isn't like ROH Supercard there like this?
Probably. Sounds
Yeah,
correct.
I think.
Sounds
Who
correct.
knows what the fuck's gonna happen?
There's Super Show Live. You never know who's going to show up. But then also, I'm going to be at WrestleCon. I'm going to be there with Jeff Jarrett, taking money, taking pictures, hanging out. If you guys
get your picture with Marcus.
Get your picture with hey, $50. $50 for a combo, picture and an autograph.
Couple DeAngelo Brothers. It's going to a good cause.
No, I'll tell you what. I'll take pictures and sign shit for free. Nobody's going to want my autograph.
I'll pay you to get a picture with me, so I look like I'm getting over. How's that sound?
But no, it's if you're going to be in Dallas, which I know that a lot of fans are for WrestleMania, make it a point to go to supershowlive.com. Supershowlive.com. Get your tickets to this event. It's one of a kind, unbelievable experience. Again, Jeff Hardy's going to be there. Jeff Jarrett, Eric Bischoff, William Regal, plus some mystery guests. So it's a huge, fun, awesome opportunity. Make sure that you go there. And by the way, if you're saying, I know what a lot of you are saying to yourselves. You're saying, sorry, can't do the plane ticket. Not going to Dallas. Too expensive. Fear not, because you can go to Fight TV, and you can actually watch the event at Gillies on pay-per-view. Dom, it's only like $12.99 or something like that. Plus, I'm not done. done.
Man, you are slinging. You're promoting. You're putting your Paul Heyman hat on right now.
I'm not done yet, Dominic. You know what else you get when you order it before March 16th? You get a Jeff Hardy exclusive Fight TV trading card. Now, look, the trading card market is blowing up. Jeff Hardy has only had trading cards in TNA and WWE. He'll probably get one in AEW. But he's never had anything outside of those when it comes to trading cards. You can get an exclusive, one-of-a-kind Fight TV Jeff Hardy trading card, which 100% will go up in value. And essentially it's going to pay for itself. So if you buy the $12.99 pay-per-view, you get this card, and guess what? 10 years from now, you'll probably be able to sell it for quadruple, 10 times what you paid. So if you are thinking about it, just stop thinking about it. Get over to Fight TV, order the pay-per-view if you can't be there in person. Dominic, what do you got going on?
Well, I mean, yeah, I'm going to Mania week, and I'll be a part of. Yes, I'll be in the mix of everything here. I'm wearing a lot of hats over the course of that week, and it's going to be a real good time. I will be. Don't know necessarily. Nesha asked if Marcus, you are not going. Are you going to Mania? Is it? Are you?
I will not be at Mania.
You will not be at Mania.
Nope, I'm working, and then I'm flying out on Sunday.
Well, I mean, when is the first show?
I think it's probably Saturday, but
there's 2 days. Yeah,
I'm working, baby.
Working it. Yeah, I don't know what I'll be doing, but I will be doing press for WrestleZone on behalf of WrestleZone, and be helping out with podcast eating ad free shows too down there. So it's gonna be a lot of fun. I'm really excited to do it. Marcus, is there a chance if they buy this pay-per-view, will you be on screen whatsoever?
Maybe I might accidentally, I'll be taking photos and fall down, and I'll just be on screen.
Picking up some cords or something like that behind.
I mean, you never know. I actually might be. I don't know where they're gonna have me stationed, so to speak, but I'll be there. I'll be taking photos, rubbing elbows with all the folks that show up there. So yeah, make it, guys, for real. Order it on Fight TV. It's a huge fun event. If you're gonna be in Dallas, please show up. We can have a couple drinks at Gillies. It'll be good times.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no, Nesha, we are in Dallas. Yeah. Oh, Mania. Yeah, I mean, I'll be in the vicinity for Mania. I don't know exactly what my concrete plans are at this point in time, but I'll be there.
You're gonna be in the building for the press stuff, right?
Yes. So
Yeah,
like,
you might not
whenever the
actually
press is
watch
going on,
Mania.
I don't know what I'm gonna do. Like, it depends on where the wind blows me and where I find my value is at most. So, and last time when I was in New York City for WrestleMania, I did not go to WrestleMania. Thank God I didn't go to WrestleMania, because holy fuck, I would not have gotten out of there. I probably would have stayed the night over at MetLife Stadium because there was no way to get home, basically. Was very happy. One of the best decisions I ever made, because not only was that, I got to hang out with JJ Dillon and Stan Hansen. So, I mean, what a WrestleMania that was. I'm all for that.
Yeah, that's a good WrestleMania experience.
Yes. Marcus, before we cut out here, we have to tell the story, the WrestleCon story of me and you. Last time we went to WrestleCon in New Orleans.
Actually, I told Eric Bischoff this story.
Did you tell him this story?
Yes, and he thought it was really funny. So we'd been walking around WrestleCon and met some people.
Let me preface this by saying I did not even write for WrestleZone at this point in time. So like, I'm just going as a fan. This was like my last pro wrestling fan experience, basically.
I remember you were talking to WrestleZone about the job on the way there.
On the way home.
Yes, but in any case, we were like wrapping it up. And we're like, all right, let's go. We went to get coffee. By the way, I stood behind Sabu in line to get Starbucks, which was pretty wild.
Full Sabu regalia too.
Yep, fully dressed. So Dominic and our buddy Doug were waiting outside for me, and I was like, you know what? I really wanted to meet Eric Bischoff. I'm going back up. So go up, meet Eric, shake his hand, talk to him a little bit, get a picture with him, and I hammer on, come outside and show Dominic the picture, and he was pissed.
I was not happy.
Right?
I was not.
He wanted to meet Eric Bischoff and he wanted to meet him with me, but I was like in the building. It was like a very spur of the moment. I was in the building and I was like, yeah, I'm going back up. Fuck
you call it spur of the moment. I call it selfish.
See, fair enough. You want me to just come outside, get you?
All right, maybe. Hey, cell phones existed back in 2018. Maybe that would have helped. Just throwing that out there.
Yeah, but so I met Eric Bischoff before I started working with him.
How about that? Full circle, the circle of life.
First full circle, baby. And he was wearing an 83 weeks polo, and I don't think that 83 weeks had come out yet.
Wow, how about that? Really?
Yep.
Wow. You have that picture?
Yeah, I got it.
I got to interview Eric Bischoff about dogs, which was great. So
he's a good guy. Good guy. Really smart guy. Listen to 83 Weeks if you haven't been. Go to adfreeshows.com and subscribe. Become a member there. Get all kinds of exclusive content, podcasts, bonus material. Dominic, tomorrow on adfreeshows.com, we're dropping the Concession Stand Brawl Bonanza. It's the original ultra-violent hardcore matches from Memphis. One from 1979, one from 1981, one from 1992 with Jeff Jarrett on it.
The Moondogs.
Jeff Jarrett and Jerry Lawler versus the Moondogs. Unbelievable fun content. Jeff is watching it back, talking about it. You can watch along with him. All the videos are available on YouTube. So really, try it out. And by the way, if you just want to give it a shot, if you're not ready, go to adfreetrial.com. You get a 10-day free trial, baby, which means that you can enjoy that bonus tomorrow for free. So go to adfreetrial.com and get in on the fun. If you're not listening to the stuff on ad-free shows or podcast heat, you're really missing out.
Yeah, as far as the WrestleZone front goes, hey, look, we got an interview with Matt Cardona, the NWA champion. Colin Tessier, 3 times he has interviewed Matt Cardona in short succession, nonetheless. And I tell you what, like, this is like, Marcus, this would be like you interviewing Kevin Nash, where it's like, hey, this is his guy. So it's pretty cool to see that Colin be able to do that with Matt Cardona and break it down. And like, they have a good dynamic because he's interviewed him 3 times. They know each other and it's a good conversation. Check that out. That's up on WrestleZone. As always, be on the lookout for a new hot tag coming. That's going to be on tap happening here. And yeah, I mean, just go to WrestleZone.com. I got an article brewing in the head right now. I kind of typed a little bit of it out already, but I saw the new Batman movie and it gave me a little bit of inspiration to write a little wrestling article. So
all right,
be on the lookout for that. And that's it, guys. I mean, thanks for tuning in. Holy smokes, we covered a lot. these shows, we're on a roll, baby. We got to keep this streak alive, and can't thank you guys enough for tuning in every week.
Dominic, Steven Chambers, we got to answer that shit.
Oh, yes.
I was suspecting he was going to show up on Raw, but now that I know it's in Jacksonville, yep, probably.
No, I'm going to say no. I'm saying it's not happening. I'm saying it's not.
I think that they want to sell WrestleMania tickets or buys, and Cody Rhodes showing up on Raw and setting up a match for WrestleMania, I think is going to do it. So now that I know that Raw is in Jacksonville, I might be watching Raw this week because I think Cody Rhodes is showing up.
I don't think so. I don't think too much, too quick, too soon. It's not enough. I mean that won't put it. That never puts it past Vince either way. But I'm gonna say like WWE's pulled plenty of like fast ones on us, and I think they're really leaning into all this aspect of creating this buzz for WrestleMania and things like that. I've been let down one too many times by all this hype of everything, and even with this Austin thing, heck, they have Austin doing the Kevin Owens show, and they kind of call it a match. Is it a match? Like Austin cut a promo that was really intense and good shit, and like said that Kevin Owens lit a fire on him again. But it's like they're not booking this as a match. It's not set up as a match.
He also said so he's appeared at WrestleMania before. So this is nothing new. Like since he retired, he's appeared at WrestleMania. So part of Stone Cold's promo was, the last time I was at Mania, saying I had a match at Mania, I lost to The Rock, and it's bothered me all these years. So it sounds like a match.
It does, but why would you not promote it as a match then?
I don't know.
It doesn't make sense. Why would, like, if Austin is coming back, would you not promote that as a match instead of him going on the show?
I would
too. I just don't think it's enough time, and the story isn't that. There's not enough story behind it.
Also, it's like in storyline, he's got heat with Kevin Owens, and he wants to kick his ass. You're telling me that the Stone Cold that we've always known, is just going to walk out there and say, okay, well, we're in an interview set, so I'm just going to sit down and talk to you now. Even though I've been saying I'm going to kick the shit out of you whenever I see you, I'm going to sit down in this chair and chat with you. No, it doesn't make any fucking sense.
But it makes no fucking sense to promote it as him being on the Kevin Owens show then. Why not promote it as a match? That's where I'm against that.
Yeah. Well, in any case, I think that Cody is showing up on Raw because I think they want him for Mania. It makes sense. Why would you not? So yeah, I'm gonna be watching Raw on Monday.
I don't think it's gonna happen.
Hey, fair enough.
Yep.
All right, that's it, guys.
All right. Hey, you know what? We'll see you next week here on what's the show called here, Marcus?
It is the number 2 Dynamite Dudes on a Rampage, guys. We'll see you next week.
Yeah, thanks for tuning in, guys, and hammer on. Have a good week, guys. All right.
Later.